You should just sing our theme song, Jake.
Listen, we want people to watch Chicago Now. If we start off with that, trust me,
it was very innovative.
Nobody wants that.
Welcome to Chicago Now, everybody. Wednesday, we're here in the nice, cool studio, but it is getting hot. Actually, the heat alert just went into effect 6 minutes ago,
10
guys.
10 o'clock.
6 minutes ago. So get that. Make sure you guzzle that water.
My dog walks today are going to be short.
Yes, indeed.
Got to protect the paws.
Right.
You know,
Mark has been talking about how hot the sand is going to be.
Yeah. I mean, it's just. I mean, well, there's this mathematical equation that I'm not smart enough to remember, but they always talk about whatever the temperature is compared to like the pavement, and also that idea if you can't hold your your hand to the pavement. Don't put your dogs.
Then don't do it with the pooches.
So it's gonna be it's gonna be quick.
Do they make the booties for the summer?
I'm sure they do, but Daenerys won't keep them on.
Okay.
She I tried during the winter when they put the salt down. Tried putting all different kinds. I've tried the ones that are like balloons. I've tried the actual boots, and she like She's like Bambi trying to walk.
Honestly, I get it because like all those nerve endings. You know what I mean? You want solid contact with the earth.
Yeah.
You're taking away like a big sense there.
Yeah.
All right. Well, other than the heat, we got a lot to get to in the next hour or so. I'm super excited to meet a photographer we're going to have on the show named David Zurich, who has spent years documenting people and places around the Great Lakes. He's got a new book called America's Third Coast.
Love it.
I've sometimes heard it called the Fresh Coast.
Oh, I like that.
The Fresh Coast, the Third Coast. But actually, this is unbelievable. There are 4,500 miles of freshwater coast here in the Midwest between all the Great Lakes.
Yeah.
Which, Jake, fun fact that I just learned, is longer than either the West Coast or the East.
Now that I wouldn't
Isn't
have
that
called.
wild?
That's
There's
pretty
more
incredible.
Fresh Coast. I think I'm going to ask David.
Then either the East Coast or the West?
And,
I would like from Maine to Florida?
Apparently, and I wonder if it's all the islands.
I guess so.
All the inner islands and things like that.
I want to know who figured that out.
Who
was there with his tape measure?
We're going to take that question directly to David Zurich. So he's going to be giving us a spotlight on that new book that's coming out. Also, and this is a topic, Jake, that is kind of close to my heart right now with Theo being 9 years old, and that is the dangers of being online when it comes to kids.
Yeah.
Jake, you have a leash for the pooch, right?
Yes.
There's a metaphor there somewhere where it's like you don't know
how
long.
You make it. I'm not going to make it.
Hey, if I could put a microchip in my kid's elbow, I would be the first to do that. But there's like, it's always a question. It feels more like an art than a science where you're like, how much leash how much slack? And it's constantly changing with age.
And we also, you and I have no real frame of reference. Like you guys are,
we're all improvising.
Maggie, you're the first generation of parents that really has to worry because when I didn't have a cell phone until I was in high school. I didn't have a Facebook page until college because when Facebook came out, you used to have an EDU email address.
One of Theo's friends in third grade has a YouTube channel already.
And probably making more money than both of us put together.
So we're going to be speaking with the FBI's Jay Patel for an in-depth discussion on the digital risks.
On Chicago Now.
I know. We got good
not
people.
Playing around.
And then finally, we're going to end the show by talking about there's some really cool music fests that aren't just confined to Grant Park and Millennium Park these days. They're spilling into the suburbs. I just saw Cold War Kids up in Winnetka. I love Cold War Kids. There's a really cool 4 Nights Under the Stars festival coming. It's called Out of Space in Skokie. It's happening this weekend. We're going to get a sneak peek of the lineup with the GM of that event. So I'm super excited about that. Jake, you're here to kick off the show with some entertainment headlines for us. I understand you just had a big this guy's star is on the rise. Taron Egerton was just here in studio.
Just
talking about
sitting right here.
Right. A movie that he has coming out. It's called She Rides Shotgun. It looks pretty awesome.
It's a great movie, and I always joke that sometimes you have guests in, you just go, hey, that's a movie. That you can't always tell that that every single movie's great.
Right.
But he's a great actor making really interesting choices at this point. People probably know him. He really exploded onto the scene in the movie Kingsman.
Which
is a fantastic
You have raved
movie. About
this.
Yeah, there's 2 of them. The first one is in particular pretty fantastic. It's kind of like Bond with an edgy sense of humor, I would say.
Okay.
There's an entire bloody fight scene set to Freebird, which is pretty awesome. Of course, he won a Golden Globe for playing Elton John and the music biopic Rocketman, which is fantastic.
A good flick.
He's been doing really great work in streaming series recently. If you haven't had the chance to watch Blackbird on Apple TV Plus, an unbelievable show, really incredible about a guy who gets busted for some unsavory things, but gets promised that he will be released if he can make friends with the guy in the cell next to him. and figure out where his final body was buried. They say, we'll let you out if you can get him to tell you where he buried. It's an amazing
So he
series.
goes inside mole.
Yeah.
And then this latest one has to do with jail as well.
Exactly
but from a
right.
different
So
point of view.
the movie sort of begins with young girl, her dad has just gotten out of jail. He picks her up from school. She wasn't expecting it. And as it turns out, he has to take her on the road and kind of protect her because he did something in jail that ticked off some people. And needless to say, they have been marked for death. So it's called She Rides Shotgun. He plays the father, obviously, an amazing young actress, plays his daughter. And it's, I was talking to them about this on the show. Child actors, particularly when a role is so crucial to the movie, can make and break a movie. I mean, and oftentimes it's not their fault. You can't expect greatness all the time from a kid that's 7, 8, 9 years old.
Right.
But sometimes a movie can be broken if the kid's not
if you
good
don't buy
enough, or
it.
if the kid's, if you don't like the kid, or
So have you seen this one?
Yeah, I have. It's an incredible film, pretty action-packed, based on a novel that I have not read, but I heard the novel's incredible. Opens in theaters August 1st, and in fact, I'm actually going to be moderating a live Q&A tonight. They're going to be screening the movie at AMC New City.
Nice.
Right up north. And the director and Taryn are going to be there after the screening. I'm going to be hosting a little 30-minute Q&A with him in front of the audience. So, but you know what? I can tell you that the conversation here that we had on Good Day Chicago, I have so many questions left over that I'm excited to actually get the chance to get to.
I want you to throw in at least, well, I don't know if you're going to be able to pull this in front of a general audience.
Bring it.
I want to know the workout routine.
That's
because
fair.
Because I saw, and we've been talking about this on the air about how they get the nutritionist, they get the trainer. So he's
exactly right.
So I was curious about that element of it.
All right,
well.
I'm adding it to...
I don't know if that flies in front of a general audience, but I know you're going to do a great job. Some other entertainment headlines trending this morning. We had a big loss in the world of entertainment.
Yeah, Ozzy, man. But isn't there a... Whenever I saw the news yesterday, my mind immediately went to, I'm glad he got his farewell concert.
Yeah.
We talk so much about, giving, as the kids say, giving someone their flowers, while they're still with us so that they know how much we appreciate them. And the idea that, he got, wasn't it? It was like this huge epic concert where all these bands were coming out and paying tribute to Ozzy and his contribution with Black Sabbath. And we had a great mega poll today where people were chiming in on their favorite Ozzy songs. And there were a lot of them that we didn't even have room for.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
On the panel.
It's an embarrassment of riches when it comes, but this got raves.
Oh, yeah.
This show got raves. And it was just a few weeks ago, right?
Yeah, it really was not that. We've still got all the footage. But, it's so funny. I remember, being introduced to his music by my dad growing up. But for someone my age, I'm 37, his big introduction to at least what I think my generation was the reality show that he had. Remember?
Isn't that wild?
Was it called The Osbournes?
I think so. I think it was called The Osbournes.
Really?
We got introduced to Sharon.
Yeah,
we got
to
introduced
Jack, to Kelly.
Jack, that's right. Yeah,
I think
Kelly.
it really introduced. It kind of was sort of this
On-ramp.
second chapter of his career that no one could have expected. But it kind of turned this rocker who sort of defied everything about what rock and roll was supposed to be and very much charged his own path and kind of turned him into this fun family guy.
I know. It's wild because when you say that, it reminds me of kind of this generation. Think about their impressions of some of the aging hip hop stars, Snoop Dogg,
exactly
for example.
Right.
They weren't
Ice
around in the
Cube.
90s. Ice Cube,
Yeah.
They know him as in some cases actors in children's films.
Exactly. Yeah.
You weren't around in the 90s when these guys.
It's a whole different thing.
Yes.
It is a whole different thing.
All right. Looking ahead, anything you, as the entertainment reporter, are particularly excited about on the horizon in the world of entertainment?
Well, just right here in Chicago, I'm leaving the set right now to go over to Chicago Shakespeare Theater at Navy Pier, where they have just opened up doing the world premiere of a musical based on the life of Billie Jean King. And,
I heard about this.
And here's one, Chicago Shakespeare, they do so many amazing, so many great, the musical Six, which is one of my all-time favorite musicals, premiered right there. A lot of shows, before they march on to Broadway in New York, kind of stretch their legs here in Chicago. And the Billie Jean King musical, it's called Billie Jean, it's kicked off, and so I'm actually leaving from here to go interview the actress who is playing her, the writer of the musical, but also an actress who I love, Lily Tomlin, Academy Award.
Lily Tomlin,
she's an executive producer on the show, and I'm a big fan of, like, when you interview a legendary actor. What's it the anniversary of? Because the anniversary is such a great excuse, and it's the anniversary
of look back.
It's the 50th anniversary of a movie she did, the very first movie she ever did, called Nashville, which is back in 1975. Robert Altman masterpiece. She got an Oscar nomination for her very first performance.
Oh, really?
It was one of 5 Best Picture nominees that came out of 1975. Here's how stacked that year was. Because Nashville didn't win.
Okay.
Nominated for Best Picture was Nashville, Barry Lyndon by Stanley Kubrick, Dog Day Afternoon,
Oh, yeah. Pacino.
Jaws, and winning was One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Oh, my
what a stacked year for movies, right? So I'm excited. In addition, listen, obviously you sit down, you got to talk about the Billie Jean King musical. That's what we're there to talk about. But I mean, to be able to have a conversation with someone who was such a part of what an amazing moment in Hollywood history. I love conversations like that. So in just about 45 minutes, I'm having that conversation. I'm very excited about.
That's really good, and that's a perfect segue to tell you what my son is super excited about this weekend, and that is Happy Gilmore 2.
Yes,
People are both ends of the spectrum here. Jake's going to be speaking with the thespians on stage.
I love Happy Gilmore. No, does that inherently imply that you introduced him to the original Happy Gilmore?
And he was gushing about just how much he loves the first one.
Yeah.
Talk about old school.
Yeah.
One of the things that they didn't prepare me for in having children, Jake, is just how much old school, like what's old is new. They love the old school stuff. Billy Madison.
I was just about to ask, what about Billy Madison? Waterboy?
Waterboy, Big Daddy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
These movies
his 90s run
have
was pretty
stood
great.
the test of time, and they still hold up among the younger generation.
Yeah.
So, I believe that's premiering Friday.
On Netflix. It's going to be huge.
On Netflix, so I know we've had offline conversations about how expectations on this, but I will give you a full report.
Please do. I haven't had the chance to watch it yet, so I'm excited.
We have a popcorn and movie.
Oh, you guys are ready.
Dates on Friday, so we're going to rock that. All right, Jake, thanks for kicking us off with some entertainment headlines. When we come back, we are going to be hanging out with Natalie Baumke and talking about this.
You're trading up. You're trading one Fox Blonde for a better Fox Blonde.
I'm going to go ahead and agree with you there.
Yeah, everyone knows it. I'm just saying it.
And we're going to be speaking with David Zurich, who is the mastermind and visual artist, the photographer behind this awesome new look. It's called The Third Coast, America's Great Lakes Shoreline, which is about to be released. That is when we come back after this short break. Stay with us, everybody. Welcome back, 10:21 on your Wednesday morning. And without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, the lovely Natalie Baumke replacing Jake Hamilton as my co-host for the morning. Welcome back,
Thanks
Natalie.
so much, Anthony, for that amazing introduction.
Hey, it's what I do. It is what I do. We have a very special guest talking to me and Natalie this morning. You've probably heard the Great Lakes called the Third Coast. Sometimes, it's called the Fresh Coast. Sometimes, but a new photo book is making the case that this stretch of shoreline, freshwater, deserves a much bigger spotlight. And David Zurich is the photographer behind Third Coast, The Third Coast, America's Great Lakes shoreline, a stunning full-color journey around all 5 Great Lakes. But this isn't just a nature book, it's also about the people who live along these waters and the places. We're talking about cities, small towns, rural communities that define this often overlooked part of the country. And David joins us live via Zoom right now. David, thank you so much for being on the program. We really appreciate it, sir.
Thank you. Good morning. It's great to be here. Thanks for asking me.
You are just a wealth of knowledge. I was checking out your Instagram, and not only have you driven thousands of miles around the Great Lakes to photograph them in all seasons, but you have traveled the world with your photography. Can I ask first and foremost, what is your favorite place that you've ever been?
My favorite place is where I live right now in Kentucky, and my favorite part of these places is always where I'm at the moment.
That's
so
good.
I'm in Kentucky, and that's my favorite place.
He's a man of the present. Okay, so let's get to this. Let's get to this latest creation of yours. What inspired you to focus in specific on the Great Lakes region?
Sure, I grew up in Michigan, on a small town on Lake Huron. So the Great Lakes, the water is in my blood, and it's always been a part of me and part of my background. This particular project really came about because of COVID and the pandemic. I was working in India on a photography project, and when the pandemic hit and it closed down international travel, I was looking for something closer to home, and my internal compass sort of directed me north to the Great Lakes, and I began a series of trips up along the different lakes, and it led eventually to this book, The Third Coast.
I've moved around the country, as Anthony has as well, with our career in journalism, and I'm always so interested to see what's important to people in different parts of the country and how do they live. And what was your takeaway with folks who live along these Great Lakes, who maybe benefit from employment somehow because of the Great Lake? I mean, it has to be a unique place, I think.
Yeah, I mean, from my own personal background, much of what made me into the person I am has to do with the Great Lakes in one way or another. Learning how to swim, learning how to, fish and hang out in the lakes, and the parties you'd have as a young person, all of that kind of collectively turned me into who I am. The folks that I met along the lakes, during the course of this project, similarly had that aspect to their life. And whether they could pinpoint a specific event or accumulation of memories, but basically living by the lake, having that body of water as a place to go to, looking out on the horizon, experiencing the things that we all do, around these lakes, makes them into who they are. And that was a great thing for me to experience.
We are looking at some of these gorgeous images right now. I saw one of what looked like a dune buggy. Was that by chance taken up near Sleeping Bear Dune?
Or Silver Lake.
Or that's what I was looking
Silver
for.
Lake.
Sorry.
Yes, Silver Lake, exactly. And which is south of the Sleeping Bear Dunes area. So it was basically a dune buggy park. So it was a part of some of the dunes are protected, as a national lake shore, but this was an area of private land or land that was devoted to recreational purposes. So that's where that photograph was made.
That's really fascinating. Tell us about some of the other images and what inspired them. The cover there looked like a rock formation. I feel like I've seen some of those rock formations Upper Peninsula region.
Yes, you've been traveling around.
Okay.
So that cover image is from the Apostle Islands off of Wisconsin on the kind of the western part of Lake Superior. When I was working on this project and trying to get a sense of how I might organize my photos, Lake Superior became a winter place. And I went up and I traveled along the shoreline, And really what I was looking for in this particular case were these ice caves up in the Apostle Islands area off of Wisconsin. I couldn't get to those because of ice conditions, but I did go on a 2-mile walk across the ice with actually an ice guide, a guy who knows the ice very well. And we came across a number of these formations, and the one on the cover of the book just stood out. You know, it almost looked like it was ready to topple over at any moment. It caught my eye, and so I decided to make an image of it, and it turned out to be the cover of the book.
I'm always interested in like places to take the family for a vacation.
Yeah.
So David, were there any spots where you were like along the Great Lakes, where like this would be a great spot for a family?
You know, the Sleeping Bear Dunes area that you mentioned, I mean, that whole section of the north, you know, the northwestern part of Michigan just strikes me as a very family-friendly, people-friendly place in terms of beaches, the diversity of communities and the landscape. Not too far from you guys in Chicago, just a couple of hours north. So that would be a spot that I would recommend. But I have to say, all of the lake shores have their treats to them and their little magical secret spots. And part of it is just exploring those.
In our notes, it says that 4,500 miles of shoreline constitutes the coverage area of this book, which is more than both of the other coasts, the American coasts combined. Will you unpack that for me? I'm like, 4,500 miles of fresh water shoreline.
That is incredible.
And that's bigger than from like Maine all the way down to Florida and the Washington State all the way down to Mexico?
Yeah, you know, I was amazed by it too when I saw that figure. I didn't map that out, but I read that figure, and then I was cruising along, and what I realized is, you know, these lakes are very convoluted shorelines. So if you stretch them out, it wouldn't be as lengthy as it is because there's so many inundations and curves to it. And then you start thinking of all the lakes in total going all the way all around them, and it all starts to add up pretty quickly.
Oh,
so that's,
there we go.
That's how it happened there.
That's right. It's almost like if you
Exactly.
brought it out on a string.
Right.
You know, okay. And there's not as many indentations along the ocean, obviously. Okay.
So let's talk photography, David. You know, what is your mindset in taking the perfect picture? Like, is there? I mean, Mike Kaplan, our meteorologist, he takes photos. He always talks about, you know,
the rule of thirds.
The rule of thirds. Yeah, right. I mean, what are you looking for, or is it just all happenstance?
Yeah, that's a wonderful question. I always kind of stumble when I try to answer it because there's no specific answer to it. A lot of it is just kind of intuition, and I've been photographing for quite some time, so part of it just relates to what I kind of in my own gut sense is a good image. But there are some things specifically I'm looking for. One, for me, a photograph is all about light, you know, the quality of light. There's composition, there's geometry. You mentioned the 3/3 kind of idea, although you notice in this book, a lot of my photographs, I actually split the image in half, so it's half sky, half land. But that's just a personal inclination. But in addition to light, I guess the overarching theme that I'm looking for in my photography is sort of the human imprint on the landscape. I don't do a lot of pure nature photography. There's a lot of outstanding photographers who make beautiful, beautiful imagery of the natural world. I am mainly interested in how we have shaped the world, how we shaped the landscape, and I'm interested in that because then the landscape can be a reflective surface, kind of a mirror that reflects back onto the lives of the people who live there. And for me, it makes it more interesting because it has then not just a natural history story, but a human story to tell.
Wow.
Yeah, I noticed that with the those smokestacks above the dunes. I saw that one, the dune buggy, and then those folks taking shots of the sun. It looked like either a sunrise or a sunset that they were taking video of with their phones.
Yeah, it was a sunrise, and it was actually, I was on Lake Huron, and it was interesting because I was out there doing the same thing as they were, you know, they were a little bit further down the beach, and I had the beautiful light, and I have an image just of that real clean horizon with the rising sun before the sun actually came up with those real rich colors. But then I happened to walk over behind those folks, and I saw that both of them were intently focused on what I was focused on, and it was both showing up in both of their camera images. So I thought that was very cool. So I decided to use that.
I thought that was really cool as well. Where can folks pick up? We're about out of time here, David, but where can folks pick up your book?
You can get it from pretty much any of your favorite booksellers, independent bookstores, Northwestern University presses selling it, and they're actually providing a discount if you put Third Coast, one word, all caps, in there on the checkout. You get, I think it's a 20 or 25% discount if you want to directly order through them, but basically wherever people like to buy books, I think you'd be able to get it. Yeah, no problem.
David, thank you.
Yes, one more. Sorry,
okay, go ahead.
One thing occurred to me. Did you write all the copy as well?
I did the afterword. The foreword was written by Jerry Dennis. He's a Northern Michigan outdoors writer, and he did a wonderful job with the foreword on it. Yeah.
Can't wait to check out the whole thing. David Zurich, thank you so much. Congratulations to you, sir. Really appreciate it.
Well, thank you very much. Thanks for having me on your program.
Thank
it was a pleasure. All right.
So fun.
You're a big fan. You're a big fan of the region. I know that.
I am, and I, you know what? I wasn't introduced to it, and this almost sounds crazy to say out loud, until I met my husband. Because being from Central Illinois, we would go to St. Louis. I had never been to Michigan. I'd been to Wisconsin, but never Michigan.
State.
And it really is. You know, we went to Mackinac Island last summer, and we kind of drove like up through Wisconsin and over, and we camped in between the two Great Lakes. Is it Lake Superior and Lake Michigan? I think it was Lake Superior, but it was amazing to see that coastline because of the giant cliffs.
It's amazing, isn't it?
It is. It's like something you'd see in a different country.
Right. All right, super inspiring stuff. All right, when we come back, we are two parents. We have kids that are getting older, getting more digital. I don't know how often Olive's clamoring to grab your phone, but it's a big problem in my household, let me tell you that. We are going to speak to the Assistant Special Agent in charge of the FBI Chicago office's cyber branch about cyber safety when it comes to raising our kids. Mr. Jay Patel is right here in studio to speak with us live. That is coming up right after this break. Stick around.
A timely and important topic, obviously, with kids spending more time online these days. We worry so much about their safety. And so that's where the FBI's Safe Online Surfing program comes in. This is a free interactive web challenge they've developed. It's designed for students in grades 3 through 8, and it teaches them how to navigate the internet safely through age-appropriate games and activities. The topics range from cyberbullying to password protection, malware, even social media smarts. We are joined right now by Assistant Special Agent in Charge Jay Patel of FBI Chicago's Cyber Branch. We cannot tell you how appreciative we are of you being here. You have such an important job to keep our kids safe. I want to start with, what is the biggest threat that you're seeing right now on the internet for our kids? And maybe there isn't one that you can pinpoint.
Yeah, so, if you look at the spectrum of the threats that you're seeing, right? Well, way back in the day when international or national highways came out and cars came out, FBI used to have campaigns called Stranger Danger because you can cover a lot of ground having those highways. Now, most of the kids are online, right? And we're seeing kids younger and younger getting access to digital devices. So with that, there's a whole spectrum of threats that they're facing. One is the intrusion side, right? You're inviting in a threat actor to hack into your phone or your digital device. But the other one, I think, which is more dangerous, is like sextortion, getting groomed online by predators to send like explicit photos of yourselves, which then makes kids feel embarrassed, and sometimes we've seen kids actually suicide because of that. So that, I think, is the gravest threat online for kids.
Yeah. It's so heartbreaking when you hear about a case like this where the kid has no idea kind of what is unfolding, and your office plays a role in combating these kinds of things. Will you tell us about the FBI and your unit and their role in combating these kinds of issues?
Yeah, absolutely. So first of all, we partner up with local and state law enforcement, right? Everything is done in partnership. But more importantly, we have international partners. So we have an international task force that has 100 international task force officers covering about 40 some countries, 40 to 60 countries, right? So that's the team that we usually work with, because these predators are all around the world, not just here locally in Chicago. And just in April, which was the National Child Abuse Prevention Month, we arrested 205 subjects around the country, right? And we rescued 115 children. Now, that's just the case in point, but there's ongoing investigations. There are ongoing subjects out there that are constantly looking to exploit our kids.
When you say rescued, were these kids in sex trafficking conditions, or what was the status of that?
These kids were in positions where they couldn't be freed from.
My goodness.
Yes.
So like a human trafficking. I mean, that is, to know that that's happening in our country is so startling. Tell me a little bit about this new program that you guys have developed to kind of get kids engaged in internet safety.
Yeah, this is super exciting, right? So like, we want to make it harder for these predators to be successful. So this interactive program, you can go online, right? And any parent can have their kids just sign up and play this virtual game where you're collecting little coins and then you encounter people in a safe virtual environment. You'll encounter a little character that comes up and says, hey, you can't pass. They're trying to kind of bully you, saying you can't pass this unless you do this, right? And then it lets the kid interact to say, would I do this or not? For example, you can't pass this unless you give me the password that you use on your online accounts. Should you give up that password? And the right response, when you guess it or when you click on it, it tells you, yeah, that's a good response. Or if you get it wrong, it educates you, saying, here's why you shouldn't share that. And it's age appropriate, right? So for third graders, it's something a little bit more simpler. For eighth graders, they're probably playing a lot of video games online. They're encountering complex situations, social situations online. So these little characters are helping them in a fun way, educate them, and it's all based on things that we've seen and things that we could have used to prevent some of the activity that the kids fell for, because they're the most vulnerable.
Absolutely. I've got a 9-year-old. This is his homework. How long does it take? Okay, let's just use Theo as an example here. He's between 3rd and 4th grade. Which one should he take, and how long of a time commitment will it take?
I would say he should take both of them, right? And the time commitment's up to him. If he's enjoying it, he can keep playing it. If he's done with it, he can stop playing it, right? So it's not a huge time commitment, and it's kind of fun and interactive. So I would say take the 3rd grade one and take the 4th grade one. Matter of fact, you can even take the 5th grade one. The other thing is, like, we can encourage our local schools to adopt this program, because we have a national competition, right? And it's in 3 different categories. So if the school adopts this program, then they can have the kids in that school participate in these different types of challenges, right? And there's 3 categories. The first one is the starfish categories of students that are 50, from 1 to 50 participants. The next one is from 50 to 100 participants, and the last one's over 100. And these schools, they get to compete. It starts in September and it ends in May. And then every month on the leadership scoreboard, you'll see the top 10, right? And the school that wins gets a visit from the local FBI agent. How cool is that?
That is pretty
All right.
awesome.
Wait. So who's the pool of contestants here? Would it just be like the Chicagoland, or is this national?
This is national,
Okay.
right? But if your school ever wants an FBI agent to come visit, I will be
That's
there.
the way to do it. There you go.
Sweet.
I mean, you're opening up my eyes to thinking. We teach driver's ed. Why are we not teaching online safety to kids in school? Like, why is that not a mandatory class? Because I mean, that
seems like it should be under the category
touches
of
bullying,
how is this not
everything,
Yeah.
right? Jay, what is the biggest mistake you see parents make in these cases where the kids are exploited?
So the biggest mistake that I see is, these kids are getting digital devices younger and younger age, which is not necessarily a bad thing. They can start adapting to technology quickly. But I think parents give them way too much privacy and they don't have conversations with them. Because sometimes they feel like, well, I don't know how to have that conversation. So, it's a top priority for us to bring that education out to folks. So on our website, on fbi.gov, you can find age-appropriate content where if you wanted to have a conversation with a 9-year-old, there's ways you can do it. And we have psychology experts that have kind of helped us, frame those conversations. So I think just having conversations, a lot of times parents ask, like, what can I do to monitor all my children's communication? And that's a heavy lift.
Yeah.
So instead of doing that, you want to have more transparent conversations. You want to make them more comfortable to tell you when they see something online or an interaction they had in person with somebody that just makes them feel uneasy and that you're the safe person they can talk to. But doing more and more of that normalizes that conversation. So I think that's the biggest mistake. I've seen parents overly monitor their kids and things like that, and that just sometimes pushes the child away from you because they feel like they're not trusted. So you want to develop a trusted relationship where it's a little bit more transparency.
Right. Then they're not tempted to just sneak their time and sneak away and use it on the low. All right. What are some other simple habits that families can start implementing to build kind of a safer digital, household policy?
Yeah, so this is not just for kids, right? All of us adults are also using all these different types of technologies. There's a lot of romance scams, there's a whole bunch of fraud that takes place, and a lot of it has to do with the social engineering online, right? So I think having those conversations, understanding social engineering, understanding solicitation online, understanding when you're developing a relationship online, what does that entail? Same for adults and kids. So I think having those types of conversations and bringing up topics and just creating awareness, right? Like playing that game with your child, going online. We have tons of resources in fbi.gov. You can look at some of the stories of what's happened and just talking about it, saying, hey, did you know this happened? How could we have prevented that? Do you know any friends or any families that you think are being victimized to this? I think those types of conversations, elevating that awareness really helps.
I have kind of a personal question here. I mean, because to deal with my life in my world, oftentimes my daughter will want to watch a show on YouTube, and so I'll pull it up for the show that she wants to watch. When I think of children speaking to strangers, I think of like social media. I guess that's about it, or gaming. But I mean, is there a way for strangers to reach kids through YouTube? Something that seems so benign that parents who have younger children might be handing the phone over to their kids and saying, hey, check this out.
Yeah, there absolutely is. So you have YouTube for kids, right?
Yes.
And then you have the regular YouTube. But, a lot of times you can leave comments on some of these videos. And if you have an account, you can interact with those comments.
I see.
Right? So although those comments might be public, a lot of times what these predators do that are targeting kids will have you move off of that platform onto another platform. So they'll educate the kids. We call it grooming because they're doing it for a nefarious purpose. And they'll say, hey, why don't you download this app? Or here's how you get out of this child lock system and go here. And the kids think it's cool. They're bypassing the parental controls, so they might do that, right? So every now and then you just want to check to see, although you're there on YouTube, do they have any other apps? Are they communicating anywhere else? And conversations like, oh, what do you think about Instagram? What do you think about this social media group, right? That helps because it kind of tells you that they're on it or they're thinking about it or they know a lot about it.
Yeah. Okay, this is really, really valuable information. We are getting the wrap right now, but real quick, where can people find that SOS program?
You can go to sos.fbi.gov, or you can just go to the fbi.gov website and to search for child safety information.
Okay, so good. All right, this is great that we had you here.
Jay, you're welcome back anytime.
Exactly.
Thank you so
Actually,
much.
come back in September. I want to do a follow up when they do the challenge. It goes from September to May.
Yes.
And we got to get like a winning school here in Chicago.
Oh, that would be fun. Yeah.
That would be awesome.
Right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Thank
Jay.
you.
Thanks for coming in. Really appreciate it. And we are back with more Chicago Now right after this, so stay with us. Welcome back to Chicago Now. We're about 10 minutes till 11 a.m. on your Wednesday morning. Natalie Baumke here alongside your host, Anthony Ponce. We have a really fun segment to end the show today. So many cool music festivals have been popping up in the suburbs.
There are so many. I mean, what if we need to meet someone who's tried to go to all of them?
Oh my gosh, that would be really cool if I only had the time.
Right.
And this weekend, running from Thursday to Sunday, you might want to head up to Skokie if you are a live music fan. There is a music festival called Out of Space, and they've got some awesome headliners, talking about Rodrigo and Gabriella, the Decemberists, among others. And joining us to preview this unbelievable event is the GM of Out of Space, Jordan Loloff. Jordan, thank you for being on the program. We appreciate it, sir.
Thanks so much, Anthony. Happy to be on the program.
Okay, I have not been to Out of Space. Is this year one for this festival, or has it been going on and I just have had I've been under a rock?
Oh no, this is actually the 7th year of Out of Space.
Rock.
We had our first events in 2018 over in Evanston on Canal Shores Golf Course. And we've been doing some, small town suburb music festivals ever since.
Is there like a genre or a theme to the bands performing?
Yeah, we have a little bit of something for everyone this year, but kind of under the umbrella of all indie rock, singer-songwriter. Varies a little from night to night. Sylvan Esso, our headliner on Thursday night, is a little more in like the beat-driven dance music space. But still has those meaningful, thoughtful lyrics that you would expect from kind of like a singer-songwriter. And then, Shaky Graves and Decemberists really in that indie rock vein. And then Rodrigo y Gabriella It's like a Latin American guitar duo, which will be something different as well.
They are so talented. I'm pretty sure I saw them at the Chicago Theater with my wife. So awesome. Now, the venue this year, it was in Evanston. Now it's in Skokie, correct?
Yes.
All right. Tell us about the venue and kind of the layout and how many folks you're expecting.
Absolutely. Yeah, we're here at the Illinois Science and Technology Park in Skokie, and there's a wonderful large field that we've kind of taken over for the weekend. We have a lot of food vendors, we have some bars, we have a large stage, and it's really just a wonderful place to see some live music. It's easily accessible by the Yellow Line train. It's right off of the Oakton Yellow Line stop, and additionally, it's right along a lovely bike trail that goes all the way from the city up into the suburbs, and really easy to get to via the interstate. And we have a big free parking garage right across the street. So it's really the ideal setting for a live music festival. Easy to get to and a wonderful grassy meadow to just sit on and enjoy some music.
So you've got just one stage, and then when do the bands start performing and when do they wrap up each night?
Yeah, our doors are at 5 o'clock every night. Music will start at 6, and we'll have music all the way from 6 o'clock until 10 p.m. 3 bands each night.
All right, so I know with Lollapalooza, you can either do like the 3-day pass or you can get passes for individual days. Tell us about the pricing, the ticket, kind of how everything is structured.
Yes, of course. We did offer a 4-day pass for a little bit, but that sold out quite quickly. People were really excited about this lineup when we announced, but there is still single-day tickets available for each night, and those start at $49.50. You know, it's important for us that we keep the ticket prices, lower for these events, lower than you might see at like a show in the city or something like that. And for that $49.50, you have 3 bands that play each night. And tickets are available online and additionally at the door when you show up, assuming that we don't sell out before the day. So if you want to guarantee you get your ticket, I'd buy it online in advance.
Jordan, how hard is it to launch a new music festival in Chicago? Because as Anthony and I were saying, there are so many.
Yeah. And
I know you're not in Chicago proper, you're in Skokie, but still, it's got to be tough.
Yeah, it's definitely a challenge. It's all about building upon relationships that you already have with local municipalities and vendors as well. We're lucky that Skokie has welcomed us with such welcome arms and really just made this process wonderful for us to be in this town. But we've been doing them across the North Shore. We do another event up in Winnetka. We do the Evanston Folk Festival in Evanston in September, and then Out of Space here in Skokie in July.
Did you guys do the Winnetka Music Festival with Cold War Kids the other week? Was that you guys?
That was us.
It was a fantastic time. We went.
Oh, wonderful!
It was great.
So glad you enjoyed it.
It was great.
Yeah.
You mentioned the vendors. Can you tell us a little bit more about the kind of the food and drink options for folks?
Absolutely. We have some wonderful options here. A lot of local Skokie businesses that are joining us at the festival. One of my favorites, Soul Good Coffee, will be here for all those people who need their 5 p.m. coffee to be able to listen to music till 10. I know that's me. And then additionally, we have some other local businesses like Needs and Wants popping up with desserts, in addition to some favorites from Evanston and around the area, Soul and Smoke, Picnic, and several other vendors as well. So, we'll have vegetarian options, gluten-free options, and all the food you would want to eat at a festival. And in addition, we have some bars that have a wonderful menu of cocktails, in addition to wine, beer, and other non-alcoholic beverages. And then at the end of the night, our location is actually just down the street from the Sketchbook Tap Room here in Skokie. So you can finish listening to music at 10 and then just wander on over and grab a beer to close the night out there.
Love it. So what am I bringing to this? Like, can I bring a lawn chair, or is this more of a blanket situation?
Yeah, it is a lawn chair situation. It's a blanket situation. All of the above. Very similar to what you might experience at Ravinia. You're welcome to bring in a picnic if you would like, some of your own food, a picnic blanket. You can bring in those little fake candles that have the little light on the top. Anything that really sets a vibe for you to listen to some great music. The only things that you're not allowed to bring are outside beverages, but you're welcome to bring in your own food and then make yourself at home.
Sweet. Okay, year 8 for Out of Space. Jordan, good luck.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Amazing event. Man, I'm tempted to like call an audible and get a sitter and go over. Jordan Loloff, thank you for joining us. I know Maggie loves.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
You guys do so much fun stuff.
We
for having
try.
2 children, you guys are always out and about.
We do try. We do try.
Yeah.
You can't just hole up with the You guys do a great job too. I know you're going to a splash pad today.
We're thinking about that. That pales in comparison to a music festival,
on a day
Anthony.
like today, no, you don't sit in the air conditioning and just, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but you guys get out and do a lot of fun stuff. So,
Nats, thank you for joining us here and replacing Jake mid-show.
I could never replace Jake.
He called it an upgrade, and I'm going to go ahead and agree.
Okay.
No offense, Hamilton. All right, we're going to take one quick break, and then our intrepid 11 a.m. Chicago Now team, I just saw him enter the studio with another great hour of Chicago Now. Everybody stay hydrated, stay cool out there, and we'll see you back here tomorrow.
Thank you so much for watching Chicago Now. You good?
I'm good.
You good?
I'm great.
We're getting in place here. It's always like a really mad dash to the switcheroo between the previous crew and then us. We have a lot coming up on this show, including, I'm sure you've seen him. If you're on social media, you no doubt have seen him where he's talking about how much rent do you pay in Chicago. And I always find it so interesting to kind of like peek inside people's houses and see how they decorate. So Dean, we will have him on our show. He's Dean Chicago Living on all social media platforms. And then we're going to talk about Caviar on a tavern-style pizza, if it's something that you'd be willing to eat. What do you think? Do you like caviar?
Oh, I love caviar.
Okay.
Not to sound bougie or anything, but caviar, they just had it downstairs last week.
Okay.
It was delicious.
I've never had caviar. Never. So I guess I'm not bougie enough. I've never had it. Never. And so we're also going to be talking Netflix stand-up to true crime deep dives. Chicago's own Liza, am I saying that right? Or is it Liza? Liza, yes. Liza Treyger is going to be with us. Look at our background audience helping us out here. What did you say? Okay, she's from Skokie. Thank you. I'm getting all kind of. Okay, all kind of tips. She's going to be at Zanies, which if you've ever been at Zanies, no matter who you see there, it's a great venue, very personable, so that'll be good. Okay, we got to talk about what's going viral, what's trending.
Okay, so the first thing going viral, we talked about it yesterday a little bit, that Nicki Minaj trend on social media.
Yes.
So you tried it out.
I did.
Are we going to try it out again together?
I guess I'll try. I mean, I got on this skirt, you know, I don't want people to see my business, but I guess I can see if I can pull it off. You got to tuck your...
I got to tuck all my stuff.
Yeah, you got to tuck some stuff.
We were doing that mad dash earlier. I think I can hold it in my hand.
And so I was supposed to bring the dumbbell, and then I thought about it. I was like, I just could see an accident waiting to happen. So I was like, nah, I'm not bringing a dumbbell. I think we can just do it right here.
Yeah, I think we
can
do it.
Are you ready?
Let's do it.
Okay, I'm gonna watch you start it off.
I think we got to do it at the same time.
Okay, let's see. I'm gonna turn away from the camera.
What it is you balance on random objects.
Okay.
In heels. Mm-hmm. We've got our heels on. With the Nicki Minaj song playing. Do you know the song?
I don't.
I think it's... What's my name? B.O.B. Bob? Something like that. Okay,
sure.
So now we just have to bend a little bit.
Oh, bend our knees.
I'm already breaking
I gotta
stuff.
get my knees bent?
Yeah, get your knees together.
Okay.
And then like kind of like crisscross. Yeah, there we go.
You ain't doing it right, Justine. You gotta get low.
I can't get all the way down. My knees are already shaking.
I didn't split my dress. Get the camera off us. I didn't split. No, I'm kidding. I didn't split my dress. But yeah, I think it's pretty cool to see. We talked about it yesterday. The ones that I like the most are like when the moms involve their children and like women are in the gym. They have these huge like high heels on. I think it's a good time.
It's such a fun trend. People have their babies in their hands or their phone and food.
So our crew has to add the music and put that on social media, and you guys can go check it out and share it later.
So the next thing trending is Trisha Paytas and her baby names.
Okay.
So if you're not familiar, she is a YouTuber, podcaster.
Yes.
She is known for being this bright and big personality. She has 3 kids, and she just announced her baby's name yesterday.
So what's interesting about this, before you get into this, is my kids put me onto who she was. I had no idea. You know, the kids, they always know stuff before the parents, and they were talking about, because, you know, my daughter has a peculiar name, and they were like, well, do you know her? Like, she has a daughter named Malibu Barbie, I think is one, and I don't remember the other one, and then this one that she just had, I think Aquaman or something like that.
So she ended up naming the baby Aquaman Moses Paytas Hackman. So she loves the movie Aquaman.
Apparently.
And her other kids' names are Malibu Barbie and Elvis. So there's this whole theme with, she likes to add names with, you know, things that she likes. And so what's your thoughts on that?
This is my thought. Can you pop my camera up? The thing about names is pretty simple. I do believe in having very creative names. I did name my daughter something creative, but I feel like when it comes to names, you got to think about like the kids' longevity and like bullying is a real thing. And even though my name is something so simple as Tia, I was bullied over my name, believe it or not. I don't even know how you could bully someone over Tia, but kids find a way to do it. I don't know, I just feel like that's one of the things that you have to live with. But in fairness, as our world kind of evolves, you know, back in the day, they would say, be careful what you name your kids because they got to get a job, right? Well, now jobs look different. Our society looks a little different. So maybe Malibu Barbie will go work for Mattel and it won't be that bad. Maybe Elvis will carry on Elvis Presley's estate. I don't know. But my point is that our world has changed a little bit. So you don't necessarily have to be as beholden to your name as maybe you did back in the 80s and 90s.
And they always have opportunities to have a nickname for the kid. Aquaman could go by like, I don't know, AQ, AM, something.
Yeah, but once you apply for a job, it's gonna say Aquaman, and the HR manager is gonna be like, is this legit? Like,
right. But then you also have to think that she makes so much money. Does he really have to apply for a job?
Maybe
when
not.
You have these celebrity kids like
Maybe
Kim
not.
Kardashian's kids, you're not seeing Northwest apply for a job in a corporate job. She's not gonna have to put that on a job application.
Absolutely right, but I don't know if I want to walk around the world being known as Aquaman.
That's very true.
I'm just being honest, like, hey, I mean, nah, I'm good. Don't name me Aquaman. Mom, we gonna have a problem.
Which one do you think is worse, Aquaman or Malibu Barbie?
I actually like Malibu Barbie. I'm not gonna lie. Now, would I name my kid that? No, but do I love the name? I think it's kind of lit. I like it. I think it's very cute.
I don't like it. I don't like it.
Barbie is a name.
I was gonna say, if it was just Barbie and her real name was Barbara and we call her Barbie, I love that. I love a good classic name. If that was the case, yes. But the Malibu part of it, maybe you could have just said that as a nickname at home.
I love
And you just
Malibu
call her
Barbie.
Malibu Barbie. I don't know if that should be on her birth certificate.
I gotta give her credit for Malibu Barbie. Aquaman, I like Malibu Barbie. I do. I think it's cute.
So the next thing trending, Target is ending its price matching policy. So originally you could return or price match from Amazon and Walmart.
Okay.
But now, as of July 28th, they'll no longer do that. You can only price match on the Amazon app on the Target app or other Target stores nearby. Do we like it? Does it make sense?
Okay, so here's the truth. I didn't know they were doing it in the first place. So, I mean, it's new news to me.
So that was the thing. A lot of people didn't know that they even had that policy that you could price match.
No clue. And I mean, I guess I don't know what was the criteria. Would I have to then find the item on Walmart.com? Would I have to have the ad from the printed, ad edition? What qualified as the price match? Because sometimes that's a little more work than getting a 10-cent off.
So all you had to do was just show them your phone. So I price match all the time.
You do?
I would go to the store. If it was cheaper somewhere else, say it was cheaper on Amazon, but I wanted the product right now, I'd just price match it. And they'd say, okay, cool. And give you that price that they had online.
Never knew they did it. I wonder if this has anything to do with them losing. They've reported that they've lost some money, so maybe this is a way to regain some of that money back.
So what they said was that they simply did it because no one was even doing it. People
Probably
weren't
that
aware
too.
of the policy.
Yeah.
But like you said, it's probably a money thing in the long run.
Yeah, I believe so. But hey, I guess we don't have to worry about it now. A thing of the past.
The next thing, are you a soccer fan?
I can get into soccer. Now listen, I'm not, so when I lived on the West Coast, it seemed at the time that people were more into soccer. So I found myself, rolling into a restaurant or a bar and watching soccer. But do I sit around and watch soccer on my own? No.
So,
no, but I'm not anti-soccer. No.
Even if you aren't a huge
Football, correct.
Even if you're not a big fan of soccer, I'm sure you've heard of Manchester United.
Yes.
They are coming to Chicago. They actually just made it in yesterday. They're going to be playing 4 games. Well, the Premier League Summer Series is coming to the U.S. They're going to be playing 4 games at Soldier Field, July 30th.
You said, I think on the show we were talking about good places to find men. There you go, Justine. They look like nice available bachelors. Good thing they're in Chicago for the single ladies out there.
We've got to invite some players in for an interview, I'm hearing. There you go. So they are playing multiple games. It's only a few U.S. cities that were picked up to host the summer series. So people are very excited about it coming to Chicago.
Yeah, I think it's a good thing for Chicago. Anytime we can get something that's on the world stage here and get more eyes and people in Chicago, I think that's great. So that means tourists are coming too, which means more money into the city. And I'm never going to knock that. That's a good thing.
So I know we just...
And some eye candy too. True. Now on the streets of Chicago, just saying.
I know we just finished up NASCAR.
Yeah.
Do you have any thoughts on bringing in these events? And there's too much traffic. There's going to be a lot of people because there's going to be a lot of people coming in town for these soccer matches. It's a huge event.
Put the camera on me again. This is what Justine likes to try to get me caught up in what I'm going to say because I'm very opinionated. This is what I'll say. I think all of these events, NASCAR, Lollapalooza, now Manchester United, I think it's all amazing for the city. I do think around this time of year, if you don't live, I'm not going to say if you don't live in the city. If you live in the city, don't live in the city, you are dealing with extreme traffic. It's very frustrating. I do think in the long run, we do need to figure out something about our traffic situation because we're getting up there. We're getting closer to New York, closer to LA, and I'm sure at some point people are gonna, start being upset about it. And so, especially if you live here, imagine that. You can't even get out, to drive your car out the parking garage, what have you. So I think sometimes it is a bit of a inconvenience. I think long run, sure, it looks good, but we gotta figure out all the people coming, all the traffic. It's a lot.
And of course I asked you that just because you drive. I live in the city, so I don't really drive anywhere. And so I know a lot of people complain about that. I'm looking forward to all the events. I obviously cover things to do in the city, and there's so many pop-ups and parties and just so many get-togethers that come around during these big events. So I'm looking forward to it.
The real story would be to have a GoPro on me when I'm driving around these times. That would be the real story. Really, anybody put a GoPro in their car if they live in the suburbs, they live somewhere else, and they're driving into the city, and put that GoPro up on the front of the dash, you know, so you can see out and inside. That's the story.
Right.
Because people, I'm sure, now me, I don't get into it with drivers. Are you one of those people when you're driving, you're like, get out my way? I don't do any of that because I feel like anybody around me could be packing heat and I don't want to find out.
Yeah. My mom always tells me, like, don't even honk too many times. Just be frustrated and keep it pushing.
Road rage is a real thing, and I don't want to be a victim. So even, you know, the key here is if you have to be in and out of the city, driving especially, just give yourself time. I mean, it's really that simple. And I mean, yeah, sure, you're going to have to sit in your car, but I mean, it's for the betterment of everyone in the city of Chicago, right? And surrounding suburbs.
And even if you are coming in town for the soccer game, maybe use different means of transportation.
Yeah. Get on your scooter.
Yeah, get on that scooter.
Yeah, that'll be fun on a hot day like today. And the pavement is hot. No, I'm kidding. Don't get on your scooter today.
Take the bus. So a study just came out with 3 Illinois towns named the best for bringing back an 80s style childhood.
Okay.
Yeah.
I see Urbana is on this list.
It is. You want to tell us the rest?
I'm curious what qualifies as bringing back an 80s style childhood.
So
what did
they talk about being in the streets, playing outside. You know, back in the 80s and 90s, kids were going outside more often. They were able to have a closer community with their neighbors, things like that. That type of
getting on your bike, staying outside all day.
Right.
I think in looking at this list, so number 1 is Urbana, number 2 is Geneva, number 3 is Batavia, and I think, you know, I don't know what it says statistically about safety in those areas, but I'm sure safety has to play into that because sadly, depending on where you live, you really can't have a typical childhood.
Very true.
And it's crazy. I've been on some crime scenes before where you drive just a few miles away and it's like a completely different world. So I'm happy to know that kids are still able to go and play outside. So that's a positive.
That is, it really is. And it's exciting that people are getting off of their phones and being outside a little bit more too. Because that was a big part of my childhood.
Mine
personally.
too.
Just being able to be in the neighborhood, run around, make friends, make little dirt pies. That is a real childhood.
Did you eat them? The dirt pies?
Sometimes.
Okay.
Sometimes.
I got into
I'm not gonna
trouble
lie.
over a dirt pie. Would you like to hear the story?
Tell me about it.
Okay, so we're making dirt pies in my neighborhood, and there was this little boy that was very annoying. Hi, Philip, because I know you still hate me to this day, and I've run into Philip as an adult. Very interesting. But long story short, we were making dirt pies, and Philip talked a lot and got on my nerves, so I made him eat it. True story. And, you know, Philip then runs and tells his mom, I get in trouble. My mom asked me, did I do it? I said, well, yeah, he talked a lot. I did it. And I ran into Philip in my adulthood back here in Chicago after I had moved back. You know, I moved back here 8 years ago, roughly. And he was like, remember that dirt pie? I was like, yeah. I was like, it seems like you still need it today. And it was a fun time. Being a kid and being able to play outside, some amazing memories.
Amazing.
Yeah. I still play outside. Do you? Well, you do. You have a garden.
I do. I garden.
Outside.
I like to hike. I like to swim. So yeah, I would say because I had that childhood where I was, you know, conditioned to do that, I love doing that still to this day.
A lot of people in Chicago still go to Geneva to this day as adults. It's kind of like a local, it's not really local, but kind of like a local vacation place where a lot of us go, and their downtown is absolutely fabulous. So a lot of people go there and just have a good time. Urbana, it's a college town, kind of sleepy in some ways. So it makes sense that that people would go, well, kids would have the opportunity to go there and live there and play and be kids. So I'm happy to hear that. That's great.
Yeah, that was such a great study. The last one we're talking about, the Chicago Scream Club. Have you heard about that?
I have. You scream, you get all your problems out, whatever you're mad at, you throw it in a lake, right? And it goes away?
Yeah, they meet up at North Avenue Beach at 7 p.m. every Sunday, and they just sit there and scream.
Wait. So do they write anything? I thought they write some of the stuff down. No, they just scream it out.
Do they?
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Okay.
So they write some of the stuff down and then they scream at the wall.
I think they just let it out. So I think they just let it out. So I went to Michigan State. In Michigan State, during finals, we'd have a scream week.
How did it go?
You would literally just stick your head out of the dorm and you scream, and everyone throughout the entire campus, everyone would scream at the same exact time, and you'd feel so much better. You're stressed out from these finals. You make this big scream. You can hear other people. You kind of feel a sense of camaraderie in a way. Everyone else is having problems. You do too. Like we're banding together on this.
And people always say go green. Spartans are weird. That's weird. I went to Ohio State. I find that very weird. But I do understand the psychology behind it. I find your story weird, not the Scream Club. The reason why I get it is because sometimes as an adult, you do want to scream. And if you do, like if I just hauled off and screamed, y'all would think I'm nuts.
Right.
So like to go be with other people that are getting out whatever it is, I think is probably an interesting thing to see if you don't know what's going on. You're like, what the hell, oh, Kitty, is wrong with these people? But if you're there to be able to relieve, some of your stresses in life as an adult, I think is a good thing. Because what else can we do as adults? Anything else that you can do as an adult to relieve yourself of stress is going to land you in jail. Most things.
I think it's great.
Most things.
Yeah, I mean, you're correct. You're definitely correct. I feel like being able to just go meet, a beach is already a calm spot. So the fact that I'm going to a calm spot, I'm able to let it go, it's a great thing.
Yeah, you can get a massage. I'm sorry. There's some other things you can do. You don't have to end up in jail.
So coming up, we've got Dean from luxury real estate agent from Chicago Living coming up right after this break.
We'll be right back. Oh, he was on Chicago. Oh yeah,
okay.
You can watch. Oh yeah, that's right, we did, and we were talking about this yesterday in the newsroom. Yes, we did have the Scream Club on Chicago Now. That was last week, and you can actually go watch their entire interview on Fox Local and on YouTube as well. So check it out; it's really good. We'll be right back.
How much do you guys pay for rent in Chicago?
We pay $2,100.
Can I have a tour of your guys' apartment?
Sure. Yeah, come on up.
Yeah.
Welcome to our apartment. Right as you walk in, it's our living room. Big, bright, dark green color. I wanted to go for this like maximalist color palette. This coffee table was actually my great grandparents. It was a wedding gift. Shout out to the OG Tasty Freeze. If we go this way, it's our dining room. I wanted like a big contrasting color.
All right, so the man behind that camera, who you rarely see in front of the camera, is Dean Lavina, who's with us right now. You're a luxury real estate agent. I find it so interesting. I think people are really intrigued about your videos. They're all over social media, by the way. If you haven't seen them, they are fabulous. What I'm most intrigued about, oftentimes I don't know the neighborhood. Like when you first roll up on these people, I can't say, okay, that's Lincoln Park or that's Hyde Park. But I'm like a voyeur because I want to know what's inside their house. Like, how did they decorate? What do you find people are so intrigued by with your videos?
I think it's really just like, number one, how much they're paying, first of all. And then number two, like the way that they just like decorate their places. You know, there are so many places that I've walked into that are like eclectic. You can just really tell, you know, the personality of the person as soon as you walk into their space. And yeah, just that's what I feel like people are so intrigued by. It's just like their lifestyle and like how they live, and also what they do for a living.
Yeah. So starting off from the beginning, what inspired you to start creating these videos?
Yeah, so honestly, I was inspired by a content creator in New York. His name's Caleb Simpson, who was doing these like how much do you pay for rent videos in New York. And I was thinking to myself, number one, like, why isn't anyone doing this in Chicago? Like, Chicago is such a great city. We have so many different neighborhoods, so many different types of, you know, apartments and stuff like that. And I noticed that also too, he was kind of just doing it for pure like entertainment, which is cool. Me being a real estate agent, I was like, I wonder if you could kind of tie the two and two together, like use that as like marketing, and then also maybe even get, you know, new clients from it. And yeah, that's when I kind of, you know, took the idea and ran with it. And then I went all in on, you know, how much do you pay for rent in Chicago series? And then I started doing all these like different neighborhoods, and the response from it was super positive.
So how does it work? How does it work with the social media side of it and being able to still carry on your day-to-day business as a real estate agent?
For sure. Well, I can tell you, doing leasing and doing all these content, all these videos, it's a lot, and I am, you know, super busy with everything, but I structure my day very intentionally. So usually in the middle of the days, I'll take care of like all my client work and stuff like that, which is, you know, following up with clients, talking to buildings, and then following up with, you know, people that find me from social media. So just reaching out to them and having their, you know, their first conversation, ask them, you know, where they're moving from and what they're looking for, things like that. And then usually toward the end of the afternoon, that's when I like, my social bug just like kicks in. You know, I want to like get out of the house, I want to get out of the office and start talking with people. So I'll usually do that in the later part of the afternoon. So I'll reserve like 3-4 hours of just filming content, and then I'll break up my day with going out to, you know, dinner, going on a walk just to kind of decompress. And then usually toward the end of the night, when I unwind, I throw on a TV show. I input, you know, all the footage that I took for that day. I'll just kind of edit casually, and it's kind of like for me, it's like reading a book. You know, you kind of it's just like how I unwind.
So you sound super busy.
Yeah.
How do you find these people for your videos? Are they past clients? Do they message you on social media and, you know, cut out that process?
Yeah.
What's that like?
It's kind of a mix. So when I first started, I was actually just doing it with like friends, and honestly, I was kind of like joking around and teasing with the idea at first. But yeah, when I first started it, I was just doing it with like friends that lived in cool apartments, friends that lived in like high rises with crazy amenities, and they were paying, you know, crazy rent. And then, yeah, some past clients too that just wanted to feature their space. And then over time, I started building, you know, mutual connections with people. They would be like, hey, you should, you know, film an apartment here, or you should film an apartment with like my friend, they have a cool spot. So then I would, you know, get connected with them. So there was that. And then, yeah, people started reaching out to me through the DMs, just asking, hey, like, you should come out to, you know, XYZ neighborhood. You know, I think I have a pretty cool spot. You know, I'd love to meet you and, you know, feature it on the page. And so it's kind of a mix. Sometimes it's spontaneous. Sometimes it's a little bit more planned. But overall, my goal with the whole page is to feature a like diverse range of neighborhoods and, you know, people, and, you know, just really give people an insight into how people like live their lives. So
I think you've done a very good job of that. That's one thing I was going to ask you about, is the diversity. Like, how do you find these people, which you just answered. My other question to you would be, so you have this real estate business that you're doing, being a real estate agent with that, and then you have social media. Which one is the most lucrative, or has it been that, I always ask about money, so, or has it been that social media has really funneled a lot of money into you being a real estate agent?
That's exactly it, yeah. So pretty much like I mentioned, the content and the content creation just goes hand in hand with like what I do for leasing, which is the primary gig. So being able to just get such a broad reach of, like an audience that just funnels like people into like them finding out that I do leasing, because obviously I do, hey, how much do you pay for rent in Chicago? People associate that with apartments, which when they check out my profile, they're like, he's a real estate agent. And then there's a link in my bio actually where, it says like, if you're looking for help in Chicago and need, some assistance with the move, like just fill out this form. And so, yeah, about like 90% of my business comes from like social media, I would
That's
say.
awesome.
So.
Was there ever a learning curve becoming a content creator from being a real estate agent with the video editing process or getting people to be on these videos? What was that learning curve like?
So I've always been fascinated with like content creation from like a very young age. So at one point I was, making content for like my soccer highlights back in the day. So like I was like probably 14 or somewhere around there, like taking all my clips that I had and like figuring out how to use like iMovie on my laptop. I didn't even know what I was doing, but I was just kind of clicking random buttons. And over time I figured out like what grabs people's attention, what holds it. And then, when I got in, when I was older and I started doing videos for this, it was like a seamless transition because I already kind of like did a lot of studying, I did a lot of homework. So it wasn't super difficult. I knew because this concept worked in another city that I just didn't reinvent the wheel. But I wanted to make it my own, obviously it being in Chicago, and then, having my own little like style of video. So
I don't know if you know this about me on the show, but I'm the wild card. I always ask the crazy question. So here it is. Get ready, buckle up.
Let's do it.
Have you ever walked into a situation and you're like, or have you had a DM or walked into somebody's apartment and they didn't want you to leave, or they're like, almost like, no, you're going to stay here with me.
That would be,
or they're hitting on
nuts.
you, or
lock the door.
Yeah.
What's the craziest story that you've had?
The craziest story that I've
ever had?
You
gotta
have one. I mean, it was actually recently. It wasn't like crazy, but it was different. So like, I filmed this apartment tour in Logan Square, and it was like I think it was a garden unit, if I'm not mistaken. It was dark. And some of her decorations were interesting. She was super dope though, I will say. She was awesome. But like, it was like her decorations were like interesting. So like, she had a scythe that was like on the wall. And then there was just a funny story about that. Like, she picked it up with like her dad, and they needed to like bring it back to Chicago, and so it wouldn't fit in the car. So they were hanging it out the edge
window
of the car. Yeah. So imagine like going down the highway, you just see this like sword thing like hanging out the side. You're like, what's going on there? So there's that. And then she had some other decorations like masks and stuff that she collected from various places that I thought were very unique and interesting. But what freaked me out was her pet tarantulas.
Were they out or were they?
No,
contained?
they were caged, thank God. But
okay.
they were there. She had one that was big. It was about the size of my fist. I was like, we're gonna keep that in there for the whole time that I'm here. And then she had like another smaller one. But I would say that was probably interesting. And then there was another time that I filmed an apartment tour over in Hyde Park. This guy had like a wall of pet snakes. He had like 10.
They were alive.
They were moving. I held one. I don't know what, like, I don't know how I got the courage to like hold one that day. I was just feeling it. But
literally.
Yeah, literally. But that was super cool. He had a dope spot too.
Yeah, I was just curious. Yeah. Interesting.
So no one's locked me into their home, luckily.
Good. Be careful, okay?
I have so many questions.
Yeah.
Like Tia said, my questions are very different than hers. Tell me about like the most grand house you've ever seen, or most expensive.
The most grand one that I've ever done, aside from my friend's like penthouse, I think that was cool, but it wasn't like decorated very uniquely. The one that like stood out to me the most, that was the most grand, was this awesome lady that I filmed in Bronzeville or Kenwood. It was, kind of like in that area. That one was sick.
Yeah.
So, and I like was filming and I got lost. So like, background story on this is she had one floor of apartments. The first floor she rented out. That one was basically just for her kids. she didn't want any neighbors, so she rented out the top floor. And so, yeah, I mean, the way that, that story, just because she didn't want any neighbors, was insane. And also just like the way she decorated it was super cool too. So
where can people follow you? Anybody that's watching, maybe they've never seen your videos before, where can they follow you, and on what social media platforms are you on?
Yeah, so I'm primarily on Instagram and TikTok. On Instagram, it's Dean Chicago Living. And then on TikTok, it's Dean Chicago. And then I also film, I've been posting my stuff to YouTube Shorts as well. So you can find videos on there. And then, in the future, we're going to do some long form content as well, like some Chicago lifestyle stuff, hidden gems as far as restaurants go, more of the apartment stuff. But yeah, those are the 3 biggest platforms that I'm on.
Maybe Netflix.
Maybe Netflix. Yeah, exactly.
All right. Well, Dean, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you so much,
It was a lot of fun. All right. We'll be right back.
If you've never picked up a pizza in the alley, John Carruthers might just change your mind. Here to talk to us about Crust Fun Pizza. Hi, John.
Hi, thanks for having me.
So talk to us about what is Crust Fun Pizza.
Crust Fun Pizza is a project I started in summer 2020 to get people to donate directly to the nonprofits that were making a real difference in Chicago for me. The local food pantries, women's shelters, voting rights organizations, kind of any place that's based in Chicago and does direct good work for people in the neighborhoods.
Are you literally in the alley?
I'm literally in the alley.
Explain that.
And so this started, we were in 2020 and it was very just drive up, and I'm like, well, I'm not gonna give a bunch of strangers my address. We'll make it in the alley. And that was a necessity, but now it's become kind of a big part of the story. And some people think they are going to just show up at the back door of a restaurant or something. So people will come up and be like, oh, it's really in the alley. And so I have to put, yes, it's really in the alley in my pickup emails.
How many pizzas have you sold in the alley?
I've lost count. I mean, it's just...
At last count, what number were you at? If you had
we're in the thousands here.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And so why pizzas?
We all got a little weird when we had to stay home for a while, right? And this was my manifestation. I was already a cook, but for some reason, pizza was a rabbit hole I fell into. And I haven't stopped. Me and my kids still make pizza, still eat pizza every single Friday, on top of the alley pizzas.
That's a thing in our household too. We eat pizza every Friday. I think a lot of Chicago families do that for some reason. $100,000 in donations. You've reached that milestone, that goal. What is it? I pull up and I have $10. I just give you $10 for my pizza, or are the pizzas already priced?
So it's suggested donation. You can kind of, except for this pizza, pay whatever you want. But the idea is I am beyond like my capacity. So what I do is I drop it on Instagram and people reserve through the link in my profile, and then they make the donation and I give them the secret pickup address. With this pizza, we were approaching that $100,000 mark, so like we're getting very silly for like one person who will pay an exorbitant amount for a pizza. It's, I mean, maybe you have a Chiron, it's $3,300 and change and like 33 cents, I think.
Okay.
And the idea is that brings us right to $100,000 raised for like great Chicago organizations since we started. And to market, we're not just making the pizza expensive. I'm getting some really great ingredients from some chef friends of mine. There's 60-day dry aged ribeye from Public and Quality Meats that I use my family's secret, it's not secret, Italian beef recipe on. There's a caviar that I make myself. There's a giardiniera that I make myself, like with the secret ingredient. I just spoiled it, caviar. There are these peppers, like the sweet peppers, with this amazing like mortgage payment, not really, but kind of feels like it, balsamic vinegar. So we put all that on a pizza, and what you have is like a very celebratory hot and dipped Italian beef pizza, little jar of jus, just like you need. Beef juice in Chicago parlance, and you get to like celebrate the fact that you have quite literally provided meals for over 25,000 Chicagoans who use my neighborhood food pantry. Like, we all see people, on the L or in a parking lot or just kind of trying to sell candy in traffic. Like, imagine if you could take 25,000 people at that level of need and give them a meal. Sorry, I get a little bit about it.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's something that you obviously feel very strongly about and passionate about. Let me ask you, who does this money help?
This is
organization?
This here is for the Friendship Center. This pizza, this milestone. They are a food pantry. I live near Ravenswood, Lincoln Square, and that's not really a neighborhood people peg as having a lot of need, but every time they're open, lines are down the block for services. They constantly have more demand than they can supply, and I think that that's the story, all the way down from the south side up through Rogers Park. Like, we all have hungry people in our neighborhoods, and we support all kinds of organizations, but for this occasion, I wanted us to turn an eye on the people who need a good meal. We all got to eat, right?
Right. So talk to me about what this pizza is right in front of us.
So this is the Italian beef, the family Italian beef. When I was young, my mom and aunts, they used to go wedding to wedding, big Catholic family, making Italian beef and like cutting corners on the food costs so that they could, make the bar nice. So we've had this recipe in our family since before I was alive, and the funny part about that is we are not in the least Italian, but it is some tremendous giardiniera. Caviar is not on this pizza, but this or sausage and giardiniera is the most of what I sell. Chicagoans love sausage. They love Italian beef. I gotta tell you, I don't sell a whole lot of pepperoni, which is not something a pizza guy will usually tell you.
I want to ask you, what were you doing before this? Is this now your full-time job?
No, I was in PR and marketing. I was a journalist before that. No, this is like an extra thing that my wife has to put up with.
Okay.
This is just on top of everything else, work, pay the bills, keep the weeds out of the yard sometimes, and then also just pizza all the time.
Are we to try this pizza?
Please,
you want
fresh
us to
out
try
of the
it?
oven.
Okay, we got to try it.
I'll let Tia go first while I ask some more questions, but how many people is operating this business?
Oh, this is me.
Just you.
It is a lot, but I've gotten very quick at making pizza. I will say sometimes, cook friends of mine, chef friends of mine will come out and help, especially for bigger events, and we all have a great time and make a lot of pizza. Like, shout out to Robert from Millie's Pizza in the Pan, in Westtown and in Berwyn.
And so when the spots are all full, all filled, how many spots are available? Can people donate online? What does that look like?
It's usually a couple dozen, and that's just kind of that's what you sign up for when you buy pizza from a guy in an alley and not a restaurant and have a certain kind of production peak. But the most Chicago thing I do is when all the slots are filled, the last slot goes to the person who will pay the most. So people DM me, and I have this running auction bid on my Instagram stories. And again, I don't take this money. The people are giving this right to the charity. They're getting the right off themselves. But I thought the most Chicago thing I could do would be let one last person buy their way in.
Nice.
This tastes like, listen, first of all, let me say this. This is one of the shows where we eat the most. And I'm like, okay, how am I supposed to keep my life together if I'm always eating? However, I can't help but to taste this. This tastes just like an Italian beef sandwich on pizza.
Thank you.
It is so, taste it. It is
really
so tender.
It's really good.
Telling you, Mom and the aunts, they knew what they were doing.
Yeah, how long does it take you to crank out these pizzas? Do you have are you using a conventional oven? Like, what are you using now to make this happen?
The nice thing about Chicago thin crust, tavern cut, tavern style, whatever you want to call it, is these were originally just made in bars that were really just kind of meant to shovel booze into people. So they had home ovens. You at home can make this pizza pretty well. I put the recipe out, I wrote a couple books, I have articles. Search crust fund Italian beef pizza recipe. It's out there somewhere. But what you do is you put a big piece of steel in there and you bake it on there, and it acts like one of those old ovens at your favorite neighborhood pizza place. So 5 minutes, turn it, and then you're done 8 minutes to 10 minutes.
It's really, really good. It's spicy, but I love it. It's got a kick.
It's really good.
What is your end goal here? So you reached the $100,000 mark. You're going to do that. We know that. What happens next?
I think we'll try to add another zero to it, and if I have to be patient, it's not the worst thing in the world to be, is patient and full of pizza.
What happened, or what did you see in your lifetime that made you want to gear up in this way and help people? Because there's a lot of people that take on charities, charitable things. They don't necessarily do it with pizza. What made you say, I want to help people? What happened? What did you see?
Well, I don't know. If you remember summer 2020, it wasn't terribly pleasant for any of us.
Yeah.
But, it's just kind of, you look around and, A, there's just need everywhere, but B, things are specifically engineered online to make us kind of sad or mad or active.
Hateful. Yeah.
And I thought, so I had a little moment of a little dark night of the soul, and it's gosh, there's so many things that the city could use help with, and I have no background in that, and all I really know how to do really well is make pizza, because I've been climbing the walls of my own house for almost 6 months now. It seemed like a cop-out. If I could only make pizza, then yes, let's make pizza, and then let's make sure the people doing tremendous work, everywhere in Chicago get the support they need. Chicago is a great, maybe the best city in the country for really dedicated nonprofits, really just kind of care for your neighbors.
Yeah.
So that's what I decided to do. We take it one organization at a time, and 6 figures later, I feel a little bit better about the world.
You got choked up earlier. What makes you so emotional about it? What is the emotional part of it for you?
I think it's just the fact that it's so, we live in a giant city with so many great things going on, and it can be a little easy to see how many people have need and how much need there is, and just kind of decide you have to switch, you have to flip that switch off because you can't deal with it all.
Right.
But if everyone dealt with a little more, I think it would be just a little bit better. And food to me is foundational, not only because this eventually comes out of my brain at some point over the last 5 years, but because everybody always needs to eat. Rich, poor, young, old, no matter what you do, you have to eat. And it can be easy to take for granted that a lot of people in our neighborhoods, they don't have enough to eat. So, that never goes away. We all have to eat for the rest of our lives. So let's try to make it as easy as possible for people. I think that sharing a meal with, other people is one of the best things you can do. One of the most loving kind of acts of care for your neighbor, whether it's someone you're really close to or someone you're just sharing a good time with.
I could keep talking to you because I feel like I feel like it's genuine. You meet a lot of people that are doing things. Sometimes they're doing it really for the glory, right? To be seen or a pat on the back. But I feel like it's really coming from a genuine place with you.
Yeah, it's the glory of having a second fridge in my basement that's entirely full of cheese.
I was going to ask you that. Where do you store all this stuff?
I sound like my wife now. Just kind of wherever I can get room for it. It helps where if you, I've fallen deep into this enough where I think it counts as my hobby, so it goes where the golf clubs would go or a gaming rig would go. It just needs to be refrigerated.
Is this one of those things where you've had to invest your own money into it for it to take off in this way?
Someone has to buy cheese, someone has to buy sauce. People I think give a lot because they know that the money's going exactly where I say it's going. So I'm very committed to keeping that transparency. Occasionally, I'll get, a cheese company or a tomato company say, hey, would you like some product? And I'll always take it. Dan Raskin down at Manny's has hooked me up with literally hundreds of pounds of flour, which is great. But we all spend money on things we like to do, and I genuinely enjoy doing this. I don't really consider it a loss leader. I think it's just a fun way to do what I like, and it's great that other people are inspired to help.
My last question to you, because I think we have to let you go. Did you have a question, Justine?
You can go ahead, Tia.
I was going to ask you, what's the farthest that someone has come for one of your pizzas to your knowledge?
Michigan at the moment, more than twice. California next month.
Oh, wow. And so they messaged you.
Yes.
And said, hey, I'm coming to see you. I'll be in Chicago.
Yes, and good luck getting the drop, but you know, like I'm a big softie and we'll probably figure something out.
Okay. So for people who want to donate or get a pizza, where can they find you on social media or online?
Sure. So social media, I do Instagram. I got time for one. It's at Nachos and Lager. And weirdly enough, some rando just squatted on the Crust Fund Pizza handle when this started getting big. And I'm like, hey, you can have it. There's also crustfundpizza.com where you can not only get the whole rundown of how it works and links to my recipes, but you can see month by month where every dollar raised has gone to since we started.
I love that. Transparency.
Yeah.
All right. I like everything that you're doing. I love your heart. It's amazing. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you for having me on.
All right. We'll be right back.
Welcome back. You may have seen this next guest on Netflix or Law & Order SVU. We have Liza Treyger here to talk about her show tonight in Chicago.
Hey.
Hi.
Unmute for us. I think you're muted. Come on now. Girlfriend, how you doing?
I'm so good. I had so much fun. I had a show last night, but it didn't even start till 9:30, so late night.
I know, it's a late night for a comic. That's the nature of the business. You're born and raised in Chicago?
So I was born actually in the former Soviet Union, and then we moved to Chicago, but I mostly grew up in Skokie.
Okay, grew up in
The
Skokie.
burbs.
The burbs. Okay, let me ask you something. Someone that's coming to your show, maybe tonight they're deciding, I want to get out tonight. I want to come and see you. What will they see when you take that stage?
Well, it's been really fun. So since my Netflix special came out, it's all new material. So it's all fresh jokes, mostly about me and myself. And I try to get some feminism fun points across, but it's mostly silly good time. A lot of jokes, and I love doing crowd work a lot.
So
people are interesting.
Yeah.
So what got you started in comedy?
The movie Superbad. I loved the movie Superbad, and because I started in 2009, and once I saw it, I went, I want to write a movie like that. So I signed up for writing classes, and then once someone took me to an open mic, and I could just be in a bar telling jokes instead of in a class with I don't know. I stopped and I just did stand up from then on, and it's been 15 years now. But it was on a whim.
What were you doing before that?
Being a menace, being just like a party girl, like being a college, causing trouble, aimless. I was like at Columbia College for music business. I'm tone deaf. Like, I think I was trying to find something, and comedy just was perfect. You could be yourself. I liked being honest with others. I liked the late nights, and yeah. And I like the process, the journey of it all. I enjoy writing the jokes. I do like making people laugh. It's corny, but I enjoy it.
So for being a self-proclaimed menace to now having their own Netflix special, talk to me, how does that feel? Did you ever think you'd make it there?
Yeah, you know, when I started, Netflix wasn't a thing, but having an hour special was definitely always the goal. And it took a long time, but it was like perfect. I loved everyone I got to work with on it. I loved the way it looked. And so I knew it was going to happen. I didn't know how or when, but it was always the goal to like be able to put out an hour of my own material.
I'm just curious, you being a comic, you having late nights, probably traveling a lot as well, not just doing shows in Chicago. How's your dating life? I got right to it.
Non-existent. Please, if anyone watching wants to DM me, I'm open. It's like, I always say I'm an incel, but fun and chill. Like girls want to get laid more too. We just know how to handle it better. We're not as destructive to other people about it. But yeah, I'm like involuntarily celibate, and I can't believe I'm saying this. Yeah, on the morning.
So you're hilarious. You're hilarious. But is there ever a joke that never lands with the audience, and how do you deal with that?
Or have you had one?
Yeah.
100%. And then if I'm passionate about it, I hold on to it and work on it to make it work and like see how I can make it work. And then sometimes you gotta listen to the crowds and you have to put it away or, tuck it. And then hopefully one day the ending or something will come to make it work and solid. But you work on it. You make it work if you're passionate enough. Or you like the groans, or you're okay with it not working, and that's okay too.
I feel like we live in a world now where some people, not all, but some people can't take a joke. You tell the joke, they get all upset, and you're like, man, what happened to the day when people could just take a joke? Do you think about that now, considering that we've seen some people in audiences that want to come after the comic?
Well, yesterday my friend came to my show and was supposed to bring a date, and she goes, hey, I got these tickets to this show. Do you want to come? And he goes, it doesn't align with my values. And he did not go to the date, and they unmatched. So I'm like so curious what that was. I would say sometimes the men that are the straight men that are dragged to my show that don't want to be there sometimes try to fight it, and they don't want to laugh. But I usually get them giggling. Yeah, once in a while, some people hold on to their beliefs a little too tightly and are not able to let loose. But you can't focus on them. And it's natural too. It's kind of like you can get 100 positive comments, and then the one comment that's bad is the one you focus on. And so that's natural on stage too. If you see one person not having fun, you're like, what's going on with this person? But you have to just appreciate everyone else that's into it and not focus on the people who don't like it, because it's their right not to like it. I just wish I didn't have to look at their face.
So outside of comedy, you have a true crime podcast. Tell us about that.
Oh, it's so exciting. So it's called That's Messed Up, an SVU podcast with my friend Kara. And we recap an episode of SVU. We deep dive and do research on the true crime that the episode's based on. And then we interview actors from that episode. And so it's pretty layered. So we get like Hollywood fun. We get to talk to really cool actors. We've talked to some people that are in the Dick Wolf universe in Chicago, cool actors. And then, yeah, really dark crime. And actually, someone in my show yesterday was a boat captain. And I thought it was going to be no. And I asked if she's ever seen a dead body, and she had.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's shocking.
Actually, sorry.
I wasn't ready for you to go there, but you went there. Wow.
Well, actually, I mean, I guess it's not exciting, but since a lot of the crimes are based on true stories, we have covered some Chicago crimes. There was like a lifeguard situation years ago and stuff on the beaches. So Yeah, it's interesting work, but it's definitely dark, and it makes me a more suspicious and anxious person, I would say.
Hence the dating life. Hence the dating life.
I'll like go to the bodega and I'll be like, remember my face, just in case anything happens. You can tell people I'm here, and they're nice enough. You know, I go there enough.
They're
but
like, she's crazy.
Knowing the true horrors is definitely harder. But the show is so good, and it's really nice to be able to do what you love. Oh, yeah, it's a show I've always loved to watch. And so then to be able to deep dive and talk to the actors from it has been really exciting.
So how does it feel coming back to Chicago and doing this comedy show?
I love it, and it's a nice break from my parents when I'm visiting home. And I do want to kind of shout out August 13th. I'm throwing the first pitch at the White Sox game.
Oh, awesome.
So I'll be back. It's my life dream. I can't even believe it. So I found out yesterday that it's happening.
Have you been practicing? Because we've seen people that, you know, they're not typically a thrower, and they get up there and it's like, what did you just do?
3 weeks. I have 3 weeks.
Are you starting to practice?
I just found out yesterday I'm actually meeting someone at the lake today to start throwing.
Just someone.
Actually, Joe Kilgallen, a really funny comic in Chicago, who actually does Wrigley Field tours on his daytime. But he's going to put all that aside to help me on my White Sox journey. And I'm going to the game on Friday to watch the Cubs Sox. I just love coming to Chicago. It's so beautiful. Like, I went to the lake yesterday, sitting on the beach, looking at the skyline, looking at all the different people. It's like such an incredible city. And Vienna beef hot dogs. Yeah, I love coming home. And the bars are open pretty late, so it's nice.
Let me ask you something. We've seen this, I would say, like, influx of people who haven't really done the groundwork as comedians. They've literally just created an Instagram page or a TikTok page, and now all of a sudden they have all of this following, and now they consider themselves to be comedians. They're making a lot of money, they're now hitting the road. You sound like a person, and from what I've read about you and what I know about you, you've done the work. How does that feel as a comic to see these people not really do the work the same way and have this rise to fame, so to speak?
Wow, what a good question. I think about this all the time. I just feel lucky I started when I started, because the work ethic was like, do as many mics as you can, get on stage, write your material, perform for audiences that don't know you or might not like you or are different from you. And I'm just so lucky I was raised in that kind of way. So I really enjoy the work and the goals and stuff. That there was just time and patience with comedy. So I'm really lucky about that. And with the internet, I'll say the positives, like I get to watch really funny clips on my phone. And so I'm really lucky that, I don't know, I'm happy that people can create careers without middle people and get their voice out. But I would say I hope people save their money, because it is a skill to be able to talk for an hour, and it does take a lot of work. And I think after one tour, I don't know if people have a second tour unless they really put in the work. So yeah, I guess sometimes you could feel jealous if you see someone playing like Radio City Music Hall and they've never performed. But it's really hard to get an audience and get that many people into you. So I never want to take that away from people.
Yeah. It's
really hard work, and it's cool to captivate thousands of people. But yeah, I'm always going to see you as like a 2-year comic or a 1 year. Like I don't, doing comedy for the clips or for the internet, I don't think has longevity. And my goal is to work forever. I want to be like Joan Rivers. I just always want to do this. And so eventually people will have to do the work, or people will stop coming because it's not going to be new, or they can't hold the stage for that long.
We appreciate.
So it gives people an opportunity. They have done something special online, but it is a skill that I think they'll eventually realize. But a lot of people that do perform for their own audiences that they've gotten online will then perform on a showcase show or for people that are outside their audience or at a club, and it doesn't go well.
Yeah, you're right. Where can people follow you if they've never heard of you before?
I'm at Glitter Cheese and on Instagram and TikTok. And then My Netflix special is called Night Owl, and that's just streaming.
Perfect.
And that's very exciting. And then my podcast is That's Messed Up. But everything's on Glitter Cheese, and I'm on the road. And yeah, the show tonight's sold out, but maybe.
Live from Chicago, this is Fox 32 News at Noon.
Now at noon, a toddler abducted during an armed invasion. The urgent search that is happening right now. Also staying hydrated. How St. Sabina is helping the community stay safe during this extreme heat this afternoon. So how exactly long will that heat last? Mark is here to give us that answer. Good afternoon, and thanks for joining us for Fox 32 News at Noon. I'm Brian Jackson. We start this afternoon with some breaking news. Police are looking for a 2-year-old girl who was abducted during a home invasion in Bronzeville. Chicago police say the 3 armed people, including a woman who was a known offender, broke into a home near 48th and South Michigan and took the child earlier this morning. They drove off in a stolen gray Nissan hatchback. Police are still looking for both the child and the car. So far, nobody's in custody. Anyone with any information on where they could be should please call Chicago police. In the northern suburbs, the search continues after a 14-year-old went missing in Lake Michigan. Lake County Sheriff's Office says the boy went underwater near Zion yesterday. Right now, it's still unclear what exactly happened. We will continue to keep you updated as we learn more. Let's take a live look outside right now. Looks like those clouds are kind of hovering a little bit, Mark, but those temperatures, they're going to be dangerous this afternoon.
Very, very hot indeed. We're looking for temperatures up to around 95 degrees. That's about 10 degrees above average. But when you factor in the humidity, it's going to be closer to a 105-degree heat index. Right now, we do have some clouds. These have blown in off of some little pop-up showers that have manifested themselves. They've popped up out to the west. Those showers have since dissipated, but we still have the remnants of some cloud cover here. 87 degrees, that's the high temperature, and that is our current reading right now at Midway and O'Hare. So far we haven't hit the 90s, but they're coming this afternoon. 88 degrees in Joliet, 86 degrees in Morris, 88 even along the lakefront. Now, with the dew points, which are surging up into the 70s, check out LaSalle, Peru. Dew points are off the hook crazy. 82-degree dew points there. That means the atmosphere is just loaded with moisture. So check out the heat index. Let's go down to LaSalle, Peru. 108 degrees, the feels like temperature there right now. Morris feels like 100, feels like 102 right now in Joliet. Actually a little bit better here in the city. 93, the feels like temperature at Midway. 95 at O'Hare. 99 at DeKalb and Aurora. And 97 degrees, the feels like temperature right now as we go towards the lakefront. But that's our destiny right there. Triple-digit heat index today. It's coming. It's going to feel just sticky.
Well, with that dangerous heat continuing to grip the city of Chicago, St. Sabina Church is stepping up to help neighbors stay safe. Today, volunteers, they're handing out free bottled water at the church right on the corner of 79th and Racine. The giveaway will run until supplies last. Father Michael Flager says staying hydrated is critical